Brian Mosteller, host of SC Conversation. We're here today talking with Greg and Ashley from Boy Scouts of America. Welcome to the show.
Thanks
for having us.
Great. Glad y'all are here. So tell us a little bit about the mission of the Boy Scouts.
Okay, great. I'll introduce who I am. I'm Greg Balog. I'm the Executive Director for the local Boy Scouts and been here since last November. Grew up a scout in this council, but our mission in the Blue Ridge Council, we cover eight counties in the upstate, is to ensure all young people living within our counties are prepared for life by making ethical and moral choices, by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Law.
Okay. So being a scout, what exactly does that mean?
I think it means a lot, and Ashley may be able to help me out with this a little bit, but being a scout means just exploring your ideas for what you're interested in, whether it's hobby ideas or career ideas. It's just exploring your interests in a hands-on learning environment. You have positive adult role models like Ashley, who's a volunteer for our council, that volunteer their time to make sure that kids are having fun and are equipped with the skills necessary to be productive citizens.
Okay. So Greg, tell us a little bit about your history.
So my history, I grew up here in the upstate of South Carolina. I was a scout in the Blue Ridge Council, Cub Scout and a Boy Scout. Went to Camp Old Indian when I was a kid and got to learn how to tie knots and use a hot spark to get a little fire going and some survival skills, and just made a lot of lifelong friends that have been with me through adulthood. My parents, they were foster parents, and which drew my interest in a career in scouting into adulthood. I grew up with kids that came from various forms of neglect, abuse, and just seeing the need that children have for positive adult role models. And there is no program like scouting to make sure kids are out there in a safe environment and having fun.
Yeah, it's funny you say you grew up and you were in Scouts here in the Blue Ridge Council. Well, so was I.
Yeah.
So I was an Eagle Scout, Troop 41, matter of fact, and our church, Zor Church over in Greer, sponsored the Scout troop, and it was a very big troop. Matter of fact, I think at one time we probably had more Eagle Scouts than anybody. This was back in 79 to 84, time frame. But scouting, was a big part of our life because we had so much fun. We went to Camp Old Indian. Everything was great. We had great, scoutmasters. The church was a great sponsor. I don't know if you went and sold the fruitcakes. Did y'all do that?
I didn't sell the fruitcakes.
We sold those $5 fruitcakes. We sold tens of thousands of them. And, but yeah, we would go out and do things like we would cut church cemeteries, for instance, for money, to try to raise money to, go on different trips. And it's funny, a couple of the doctors in town had some land. So that's where we would do, we would go to like a camporee, we called it back then, and a lot of different troops would go up there. So scouting was very big, back then. It seems not to be quite as big now. I think a lot of the reason is because of sports and like travel baseball, travel basketball, things like that. Because back when I was young, you played a sport, then you were done. That's and right. But now they go on and on and on, and it seems like people, parents are not getting their kids into scouting as much. But I tell you, it's just a great thing for anybody to get their kid into. I mean, it taught me so much, and even though I'm an Eagle Scout, I know a lot of people who didn't make it all the way to Eagle Scout, which was fine, but they still grew, and they're still great people and all, and they teach their kids different things, camping and all that. So
we do still serve, and I just would like to say over 6,000 youth So we are a large organization. We serve a ton of youth locally, and of which around 2,200 of those we would consider at-risk youth, and these are youth that come from economic circumstances where they may not be able to afford to pay for the program, where we do outreach efforts and pay as a local council to ensure every child has an opportunity to be a part of our program. So still a large organization, and any young person, whether they have the financial means to participate or not, can be served through our local council.
That's great. That's great. So Ashley, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Currently serving on the local council executive board. I also serve on the National Scouts BSA committee, but more importantly, I'm a Scout mom. So I have 3 boys, 15, 10, and 8. All 3 are in the program. My husband and I were not in Scouts, Girl Scouts, or Boy Scouts growing up. It was just, we were sports people. Mm-hmm. And so our boys are both athletes and Scouts. So I don't think the 2 are mutually exclusive. Our boys play sports year round. And to accommodate that, for example, our pack and troop meets on Sundays. That way, during the week, they can go and they can play soccer or baseball or football, and then have their games on Saturday and come to Scouts on Sunday. And it's been a really unique opportunity to do Scouting as a whole family. It's a really special time. I mean, especially at the Cub Scout level, to go on a pack camp out with the whole family, and our Scout pack has become, we call it our Scout family. They've become an extended family, and most of them are also members of our church, but not necessarily, but everybody's welcome, and we just have a really great time. And I've seen my boys grow, and especially my 15-year-old, he's a Life Scout right now, and he's just grown into this extraordinary young man through Scouting, who's really learned how to be a leader, how to be a servant leader. Like you were talking about community service, and they really teach them how to lead with a servant's heart. And that's one of the big things that comes out of Scouting is they just, incredible people grow up from the Scouting program. So couldn't be happier to be part of this organization. And Scouting's grown up. Scouting has grown up also, along with the kids. So,
well, that's great, and I'm glad you mentioned the thing about on Sundays, because that's one thing I liked about Scouts so much. It's not a set time frame of when you have to do something. You can move it around to do things at different times. So I think that's great. Yeah. So I've heard something about the Female Eagle Scout program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Ashley?
Sure. There's a new term out called family scouting, and that doesn't mean that the whole family is scouting together in a specific troop. It just means that we have a program for everyone in the family right now. So at the Cub Scout level, we have packs, and there are girl and boy dens that are separate. And then at the Scouts BSA level, which used to be called Boy Scouts, is now Scouts BSA, we have male and female troops. So they are totally separate. The female troop has female leadership, the male troop has male leadership, and this is going to be the first time that we've ever had female Eagle Scouts. So they have, I believe, until the end of January, beginning of February, and then we will have our first inaugural class of female Eagles that will be celebrated on the birthday of Scouts on February 21st of 2021. So exciting times.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I'd heard something about that, but I didn't know much about it. But that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what are the different programs that are available through the Scouts?
Sure. So we've got Cub Scouts, which starts now at kindergarten, which is our Lion program. So it runs from kindergarten to 5th grade. Again, open to boys and girls. They are in the same pack, but they meet in separate dens. And then beginning in 6th grade is what we call our Scouts BSA, which is our flagship program. And that runs from 6th grade all the way up until they earn Eagle Scout. And then they can stay until they're 18 years old. We also have what is called, and Scouts BSA is now open to boys and girls in separate troops. And then we have a program called Venturing. A lot of people aren't familiar with Venturing, but it is our high adventure program. So once our Scouts hit 14 years old, boys and girls, they have the opportunity to join Venturing, which is kind of the cool stuff. I mean, everybody thinks when you hit the Scouts BSA level, the rubber hit the road, but Venturing, I mean, climbing, whitewater rafting, ATV riding, all of the really fun high adventure stuff happens in venturing. And then we also have exploring. And you might be more, I'm not totally familiar with exploring, but it's usually through a fire department, a police department. There are some medical posts, but that is a little more career driven than venturing. But we've got opportunities from kindergarten to 21 years old to participate in scouting right now as what we consider a youth.
Wow. That's great. That's great.
There's place for everybody.
Yeah, we actually had an explorer troop for a little while after, a lot of us got, the Eagle Scouts, and then we did an explorer troop. So how do people join?
I guess I could answer that.
Okay.
It's can contact me directly as the executive director for the council. You can visit our website, www.blueridgecouncil.org, or you could contact our office directly. 864-233-8363, or go to beascout.org, and any one of those measures would be a great way to get involved.
Okay. Is there a time frame to sign up? I mean,
there
sign
isn't.
up anytime, or how does that work?
Scouting kind of follows the school calendar. However, the youth learn at their own pace and participate at their own pace. So any time of the year is a great time of year to join scouting.
Okay. So what all kind of camps do they have now? I guess Camp Old Indian is still around, right?
Oh yeah.
What are some of the other ones that are around?
So Camp Old Indian is still our local camp. Camp Arrowhead is a camp that we have out in the Greenwood area. And we'll serve roughly 1,500 youth in the summer. We offer programs throughout the summer, whether it's Cub Scout day camp programs or Boy Scout or Scout BSA resident camp programs. So a lot going on out at camp.
Yeah, and Scouts BSA Summer Camp, I have to say, is the best bang for your buck in terms of summer camp programming. The cost for a Scouts BSA Summer Camp is half of what you would find for any other overnight camp in the upstate, and they have a ton of fun, and they come home totally exhausted and dirty.
That's great. Well, hey, thank y'all so much for coming, Greg, Ashley. Really appreciate it. Keep pushing the Boy Scouts, because I know I am. Anything you ever need or want to come back on or have somebody on, just let me know, because that's a great organization. It was for me and my family and my cousins and everybody I used to go to church with. We're still, like you said, lasting friendships through that. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for SC Conversation. I would like to take this time to thank all of the wonderful people and businesses who are sponsoring this show. When you visit the businesses, be sure to go in and tell them thank you for sponsoring SC Conversation.
Hardwood flooring is the most popular kind of flooring, and no one has a larger selection of hardwood flooring than Greer Flooring Center. Remember, you'll always find what you're looking for at the price you're looking for at Greer Flooring Center.
Hey, Upstate, Dave Ramsey here to tell you about our investing ELPs, Roger Sims and Jason Carr at Sims & Carr Financial Solutions. Roger and Jason are the only people I personally endorse for investing right here in the Upstate. They specialize in retirement planning, 401k rollovers, as well as mutual funds and other investments. I personally recommend Roger Sims and Jason Carr of Sims & Carr Financial Solutions. Call Roger and Jason today at 879-0337. That's 879-0337.
Hello, welcome to SC Conversation. I'm your host, Brian Mosteller. Today we have Jim from Miracle Hill Ministries. Sure. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jim.
Well, I've been with Miracle Hill Ministries now for 4 years. I'm the stewardship director responsible for fundraising. prior to that, worked in the paper industry for 35 years. The Lord kind of been on my case about getting in the ministry, so I thought I knew what I was going to do. I had a plan, but he had other plans. So he opened the door at Miracle Hill, and it's been great. It's been an awesome place to work and a great ministry.
Good, good. Yeah, I mean, Miracle Hill, I remember being around for, forever.
Yes, sir.
And I always heard good things about it. So tell us a little bit about the history of Miracle Hill.
Miracle Hill actually started in 1937. A group of businessmen in Greenville opened a soup kitchen for those that were, in need at the end of the Great Depression. So it was a great time for that. Shortly after that, a few years later, about 1948, they opened the first homeless shelter. It was called the Gospel Rescue Mission. That eventually became the Greenville Rescue Mission. It was in 1958 that we got the name Miracle Hill. We had bought a farm up in Pickens County that was going to be a shelter for people addicted to alcohol, but it ended up being our children's home. But during the first building being constructed up there by volunteers, there was a big rainstorm, and the group got together and prayed and said, look, God, just keep the rain away so we can get our work done. So it rained all around the hill where they were building the building, but it didn't rain right there. And one of our staff members, Vera Wright, said, well, isn't this just a Miracle Hill? And that's how we got our name.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. That's
We've been Miracle Hill ever since.
Very
yes,
interesting.
ma'am.
Very interesting.
So it's cool.
So tell us a little bit about your locations and kind of the main focus of Miracle Hill.
Miracle Hill is primarily focused in 3 areas: homelessness, addiction recovery, and foster care. We have several shelters here in the Greenville area. We also serve the entire upstate, so we have a shelter in Spartanburg as well as Gaffney for Cherokee County. So we have 8 shelters in total. 4 of those are homeless shelter, 1 for men in Greenville, the Greenville Rescue Mission, 1 for women and women with children here in Greenville is called Shepherd's Gate. We have the 2 addiction recovery facilities, which are in-house 6 to 7 month programs. So the men's side is called Overcomers, and the women's side is called Renewal. So, and we also have a boys shelter here in Greenville that will actually be closing at the end of the year due to some changes in the regulations for child care. So we're shifting that focus to foster care. So we have a foster care division where we recruit and do casework for Christian foster families. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, the shelters in Spartanburg and Gaffney. Okay. Our children's home that I mentioned a minute ago in Pickens, we've actually now transitioned into what we call a foster care community. So rather than having congregate care for children, we now have foster families that live in the houses up there, and they can have 3 biological children and up to 5 foster kids. So they're fostering a great number of kids there in Pickens for us.
Wow, so you let people come in with their own children and then they foster.
Yes. So they're living in Miracle
Wow.
Hill houses. They're not employed by Miracle Hill,
Right.
But they are licensed foster families, and so they have agreed with us to take on 5 foster kids.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
it's amazing.
That's amazing. I've never heard of anything like that. I mean, does anybody else do that? I mean,
It's a calling. We're one of the few right now. I think it's going to be a model of the future. The government has decided that children need to be in a foster family rather than in congregate care, especially for level 1. Level 1 being those children that don't really need any special assistance, those that have just been taken out of the home. So first they want to place them with family if it's possible. If there's not a family member possible to take care of them, then they want them to go into foster care. So kind of move it out of the congregate care relationship so they have a stable family atmosphere, if you will, which is a great thing.
Yes.
You just need to make sure there's plenty of foster families to do that.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the scope of the ministries and the size of the ministries.
Miracle Hill is large. We serve the upstate of South Carolina. On any given day, we'll house about 650 people in our care, whether it's in adult ministry, the foster families that we have, or in addiction recovery. So we do a large amount of work with those folks. So 650 is a big number. We feed and house those people as well as provide counseling for those. Our intent is to get them back on their feet. We don't offer a handout, we offer a hand up. So getting them back to where they can save money and establish themselves again and get back into caring for themselves is our goal.
So talk a little bit about the transitional houses. What are those now?
So primarily for those that are going through addiction recovery, when they finish the program, as I said, was a 6 to 7 month program where they're living with us and going through classes, whether it's job readiness, whether it's Bible studies, whether it's financial planning, saving. When they come out of that environment and have graduated from the program, we don't want them to go straight from just finishing a program right back into being on their own. So we offer what we call transitional housing. So they can leave the facility and move into a house with other folks that have graduated. As a matter of fact, we just recently were in the process of completing 8 houses right behind the Overcomer Center. 4 of those are complete. The other 4 are almost complete. Each of those houses holds 6 men. So we'll be able to have 48 men in those transitional houses behind the Overcomer Center. We still own some other houses in the Greenville area where our ladies can go for transition. And in some cases, we have people that leave the homeless mission and go into transitional housing. Just gives them a big opportunity to establish themselves before they just jump right back into the mainstream, if you will.
Now, where does the funding come from for, like, I mean, I know y'all have thrift stores and things like that, but do you have a big bucket of money that comes in, or is it stuff that trickles in for building houses, something such as that?
Typically, when it's something like building the transitional houses, we'll establish a capital campaign. So we'll go out and ask people to donate specifically to that, whether it's a business, whether it's individuals, whether it's foundations or things of that nature. The vast majority of our money comes from individual donors. We also have churches that donate. We have organizations that donate. We do grant writing for for foundations and other establishments, business grants, things of that nature. We're currently receiving some money for our children's ministry through government funding. We are in the process of getting out of any government funding, so we're actually ramping up our association with churches. We've always had a great relationship with local churches. We're actually developing church partnerships now where we can really sign on with the church to not just for them to support us, but for us to support them and to feed information back and forth. It's really been a good response from the churches, so we see that as a great opportunity. We think recruiting foster families is going to be primarily from our partner churches, so it's going to be a great partnership.
Good, good. So I know a lot of organizations like yours, they focus on kind of one area. You guys have 4. So, I mean, why do y'all do that, and how does that? Because it looks like y'all got it good in all 4 areas. So
it's interesting because our service that we provide is broad. We provide a lot of services to a lot of different people. Our focus is pretty specific. First and foremost, we want to share the gospel with all of our guests. We are a Christ-centered organization, so even though we serve a broad spectrum of people, actually we've come to know that hurt, homelessness, hopelessness, trauma, all of that is indiscriminate. It doesn't matter what age, what gender, what race you are, you can be hit with brokenness. And although it's not always a result of decisions others have made, we found that the cycle of brokenness is often generational. It's passed down from generation to generation. So our goal and our main focus is to interject the light of Jesus into that cycle of brokenness to break it. We've seen examples where there's just generation after generation after generation of families that, it's a very specific example without calling names. We've seen where the generation is 14 years old and pregnant, 14 years old and pregnant, 14 years old and pregnant, and all of those children end up in the foster care system. And so we're trying to break that cycle by training people, teaching them the good news of Jesus Christ, and allowing them to see that there's freedom in Jesus and that there's decisions that can be made with the help of Jesus that's going to help them get to a stable life, if you will.
So what are some of the greatest challenges you face?
It's interesting for us, being as big as we are can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse. So for us, it's name recognition. What we find is if you go out and you ask people, what do you know about Miracle Hill? They'll know a little bit. They'll either know we have thrift stores, which we do have the 8 thrift stores that supply a good bit of the revenue for the ministry, but at the same time, they may not know about the addiction recovery, or they may not know about homelessness, or they may know homelessness but not know about child care. So just for us is making sure that people understand how broad of a offering that we have, so that they know if they have a family member that's suffering from addiction, you know, Miracle Hill is the place to go. If you know someone that's experiencing homelessness, Miracle Hill is the place to go. If you have a child that has been removed from the home or whatever, Miracle Hill is the place to go. So we offer all those services with that laser focus of sharing the good news of Jesus Christ.
Correct. So people want to contribute. What are the different ways they can contribute to
You can
Miracle
contribute any way you want. You know, you can write a check and mail it to Miracle Hill. You can contribute online. So there are lots of opportunities. The best way is to go to our website. The address is there. Not only is there a donate button there, there's an opportunity to talk about volunteering if you want to volunteer your time and talents. All of our volunteer opportunities are listed on the website. So that website's miraclehill.org, and you can learn a lot there. But we try to make it easy to donate.
Okay. Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming today. Really appreciate it. And good luck to you with Miracle Hill Ministries. It's a great ministry out there. And
Brian, thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again to our guests and our wonderful sponsors. Remember, you can stay informed about SC Conversation during the week on our Facebook page and website. Also, feel free to send us an email at info@scconversation.com. Thanks for watching, and have a great evening.